Good evening and welcome to the Netzach Yisrael's daily Kitzur Shulchan Aruch Shir. Today we're going to learn from Siman Yud Aleph, Sif Yud Gimel through to the end. Sif Yud Gimel, we're talking about the mitzvah of mezuzah. Yesh Omrim Afilu Ein Delosos La Pesach. There are those who say that even if a doorway does not have a door, nevertheless, chayav b'mezuzah, you've got to put a mezuzah on it. But Yeshom, remember those who say, Duba'inon davka deles, that from the psukim in the Torah, that they learn from that even a doorway without a door requires a mezuzah. V'lachein, and therefore, lo yikba es ha-mezuzah, ad sheyisle mikodem es hadeles. You should not put on the mezuzah until you've hung the door. And you shouldn't put the mezuzah on first and then and then hang the door. Why? Because we have a general rule called taseh v'lo mina osoi. That is, when one is required to do a mitzvah with an object, like here, to put mezuzah on the doorpost, the object needs to be in its finished state, so that the obligation is already there before one does the mitzvah. That's called taseh v'lo mina osoi. Sif Yud Daled. Bayis she'ein osoi l'dira kavios. A house, a place which is not made for living in permanently, is potter, that doesn't have to have a mezuzah on it. The fichach sukkahs hechag b'chag, a sukkah which is made for the mitzvah of sukkahs, on sukkahs itself, where obviously it's got to be a diras arai, and we are only using it for 7 days, is potter. You don't put a mezuzah on that. V'chein, and so oson chanuyos oisim b'yuma d'shuka liyom meshech hayored. Those booths or huts which were made for the days of the fairs. Well, they used to go to a fair and used to have each person selling his wares used to have a booth, a hut where they used to sell his wares from. And this was only there for the duration of the fair. And after that, these things were taken, these huts were taken down. Or or they were left there, but this place was specific for the fair, and it was left there empty. There was nothing left in them. They were just left there by themselves. And potter, they don't have to put. You don't have to put a. You don't have to put. There's no way. Peturim. There's no way of. They don't need to put a mezuzah on that. Aval. An ordinary shop, a shop which sells wares, which is open most of the time, etc. Those obviously do have to have a mezuzah on them. Sif Tesvov. Achsadra sheyesh ba shloshom chitzos. An achsadra is a porch or a corridor, something like, I would think, like a gazebo. Right? Sheyesh ba shalosh mechitzos. It's got 3 screens on 3 sides of it. The tikra on a roof, al gabehan on all of them. Uperutza beravias, but the 4th side is open. Afal pi sheyesh lo shem shtei petzimin kemotzuras haPesach. Even though on that 4th side there are 2 uprights which seem to form a doorway, nevertheless, petura b'mezuzah, that does not have to have a mezuzah on it. Why? Mipshnei shehapetzimin lo ta'asum mishum mezuzahs, because those upright beams, they're not there just to put them for mezuzahs for a doorway. Ela kedei lahamid hatikra, they're there to hold up the roof. And therefore, if they're only there to hold the roof, they're not for a doorway. It's not considered a doorway, and you don't have to put a mezuzah on it. Aval im yesh lo mechitza gam beruach revius. But if there is a screen on the 4th side, Even though these screens might be very low and they don't reach up to the roof, and in these screens or dividers, there are lots of windows there. Nevertheless, chayovis, you've got to put a mezuzah on it. Seif Tes Zayin. Beis Shar. Beis Shar was a gatehouse or a guardhouse, something. Who buys cotton? She'etzol Shar HaChotzer. It's a small hut, a house, which was at the gate of the courtyard. Shehashoymer Yoshev Bar, where the security officers used to sit. Umar Peses, and also some sort of balcony. Shehi Derech La'alos Bar La'aliyah, where it was an opening in which you could get up to the attic, the next stairway upwards to there. V'hagina, and a garden. V'hadir, and a pen for animals. Peturim mezuzah. These are all potter from a mezuzah. Why? Kivin she'ein asuyin dira, because they're not made to live in. Vim yesh bayis hachiyov b'mezuzah pesucha le'echad me'elu ol achstadra. But if you have a house which is chayav mezuzah, and one of these things, either the guardhouse or the achsa or the garden, or whatever it is, with a fence around it, they are connected to the house which needs a mezuzah. Then chayavim after Pesach shenichnas lahem mereshus harabim. Then they automatically now the whole thing needs mezuzahs on all the doorways, even the door out into the reshus harabim, out into the street of the general public. And therefore, Shari Chatzeros, V'Shari Mavos, V'Shari Medinos, V'Ayoros, all these mavos, these are the gates of courtyards and the gates of streets which are blocked off, and areas which are closed in, large areas, even towns. Kulam chayovim mezuzah. They're all chayovim mezuzah. Why? Kivin shebotim hachayovim mezuzah besuchim nesochem. Seeing as the houses which are in these areas open into them, therefore that automatically, because the houses open into the areas, it automatically makes them chayov for a mezuzah. V'afil asara botim zeh pesuch lezeh v'zeh pesuch lezeh. If you have a row of these, of say achsadras, a row of huts, which in their own right do not need mezuzahs, and you could have 10 of them there, and nevertheless the last one in the row does need a mezuzah, then im hapanimi chayav mezuzah. If the inner one needs a mezuzah, kulam chayavim, they're all chayav. V'lochein, and therefore, Shar hapasuach min hagina lechotze, the opening gate from a garden into a courtyard, chayav mezuzah, because it's chayav mezuzah, because the houses are opening into the chotze, and therefore the chotze needs mezuzah, and therefore the garden will need a mezuzah. V'yesh omrim, and some say, device v'shar hamer peses, that the base hashar umer peses, that this booth, this hut for the guards and the peses, and from the balcony, there are chayav afilu ein bayis pesuch lahem, that there are poskim who hold that these areas are chayav mezuzah even if no house opens into them, and therefore, as always, v'yesh l'kava below bracha. Therefore, since it's a machlokas, and there are some people say it needs mezuzah, you have to put a mezuzah on. But obviously, because it is a doubt whether you need one, you don't make a bracha. Seif Yud Zayin. Beis hamerachatz ubursaki ubeis hatvila peturim. A merachatz, a bathhouse, a bursaki, a tannery, ubeis hatvila, and a mikveh peturim, they do not need a mezuzah. Why? Because they are not dignified places. Aval refes bokar, but a cattle barn, V'cheda hamagadlim bo ophos, or a coop, or a place where you keep chickens. Ubeis hateven v'haitzim, and barns which have straw in them or wood in them. V'oitras shel yayin, and storage places for wine. O shel mashkim, or other drinks. Im yesh lehem shir bias, if they have a shir to which makes them chayav to have a mezuzah on them, the size is big enough. Chayavim, they're chayav. V'yesh potrim, and some people say they're part of, you don't need to mezuzah on them. And therefore, as always, if that is the case, you would have to put a mezuzah on, but not say a bracha. Seif Yud Ches. Mocham shechinokos mitzuyim. Places where sometimes you have children there, babies there, and therefore sometimes you're going to be changing their nappies. Or sometimes people get bathed there, shom there. Oh, shemishhtainim shom. Or sometimes people pass water there. Yechasa es hamazuzah. Those times when it's being used for these undignified things, you would have to cover the mezuzah at those times. The davka his damnus derech arai, but only covering the mezuzah would only help if if it happens occasionally, but it's not a common occurrence there. Then soichim al hakisoy. Then if it happens rarely, we can rely on covering the mezuzah to be enough and be able to carry out these undignified things. Aval ikba sham tashmish bizoyin lahamid sham kli shovchim. But if you fix the room or the place for something undignified, for example, it brings an example to set a sewage container there, and it's there all the time, ein samich ala kisoy, then just covering the mezuzah would not be enough. You'd have to do more than that. Sif Yud Tes. Vayis v'chein chotzer shegam goy darsham potter. If it's got joint ownership and there's Jews living in the same place and non-Jews living in the same place, therefore it's potter from having mezuzah. You don't need mezuzah. We're frightened that the non-Jew will take the mezuzah down, they'll mess with it, whatever. Seif Chof. Marteif, a cellar. Shehamazuzos im hapesach shochvim ba'oretz. We're talking about a cellar where the door of the cellar is flat on the ground. Right? It's a flat, there's nothing sticking up, it's just flat on the ground. That does not potter. We don't put a mezuzah on that. Why don't we put a mezuzah on that? It has the shape of a doorway. The doorway goes down, but it is the shape of a doorway. So we say, Delo nikra mezuzah elokashe omedes. That the mezuzah on the mezuzah, the doorpost, which requires a mezuzah, which is called the mezuzah, is something which is upright. And when it's flat, it's not considered mezuzah, and therefore it does not need a mezuzah. Siv Chof Aleph. Hasoiche bayis b'chutz ha'aretz. Somebody who rents a property outside Eretz Yisrael. Potter min mezuzah shloshim yom. So the halacha is that a person does not have to put a mezuzah on for 30 days. We're assuming that he's not going to stay there. Maybe he'll go back to Israel, maybe whatever. He maybe won't like it. So therefore, you don't put a mezuzah on for 30 days. The lo have diras keva, because until he's been there for 30 days, it's not considered to be a fixed dwelling place. The Igros Moshe, Reb Moshe Feinstein, says that what one should do is, if you move into somewhere, is put a mezuzah up straight away. And after 30 days, you take down the mezuzah, and then you put the mezuzah back up, but then you do make a bracha. Sivchof Beis. Hayotze min habayis, v'Yisrael acher nichnas lador shom. Lo yitul harishon es hamazuzas ela yanichein v'asheni yishalem lo avuron. Somebody who sells his house to another person who's Jewish. He's not allowed. He should not take down the mezuzahs from his door and tell the other fellow, "You're going to put your own mezuzahs up." What he should do is needs to leave the mezuzahs there, and the other person will pay him for the cost of the mezuzahs. Obviously, if the person has put up very expensive mezuzahs, or they have particular sentimental value to him, these mezuzahs, for whatever reason, then obviously he can come to an arrangement with the person, either put up cheaper mezuzahs and say, I'm putting up different mezuzahs and here's the bill for them, or to come to an arrangement that the house is not left without mezuzahs. Siv Chaf Gimel. Chayav Adam lehizahem out mitzvahs mezuzah. A person has to be very particular and very careful indeed about the mitzvah of mezuzah. Why? Because it is a mitzvah which is there all the time. You never stop with the mitzvah of mezuzah. V'chol zaman sheyikones v'yetzei yifgab yichud Hashem shemo shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Every time a person goes in, enters and leaves the thing, he comes past, he comes back and he sees the yichud Hashem, he sees the unity of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, of the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there on the door. V'yiska ahavaso, and he will remember the love of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's love for us. V'ye'er mishnaso, and he will arouse himself from his sleep. V'shigiyusov b'hevlei hazman, and he'll rise himself from his error of pursuing the nonsenses of the times. V'yeda, and he will know ki ein davar ha'omed la'olam olamim ela yedias tzor olamim. And he will know that nothing stands the test of time. There's nothing that lasts in time, ela but yedias tzor olamim, the knowledge of the Rock of the Ages, the knowledge of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Umiyad hu chozel dato, and he'll have a change of heart, the holech v'darchei meisharim, and he will go on the correct path. Amru Rabbeinu Zechron Livracha, our rabbis say, Kol mi sheyesh lo tefillin barosho, anybody has tefillin on his head, uvizro on his arm, uvitzitzis bebigdo, and it sits on his garments, umezuzah bepischo, and mezuzah on his doorway, muschak shehu muschakhu shelo yechatah. He can be assured that he will not sin. He will not sin. Shenema, as it says in the pasuk, Chone Malach Hashem Saviv, the Malach of Hashem, the Malach of Hashem, the angel of Hashem, camped around him, Lirayov, to those who fear him, and he rescues him. Now, obviously, it will not help if a person doesn't think about it. So it doesn't mean that when you do these things, if you're not thinking at all and nothing happens, that it's obviously going to help you. But if a person puts his mind to it and thinks about it, then obviously that will give him a great help. Somebody who is very lax and doesn't bother with the mitzvah of mezuzah at all. It could be that the grandchildren might die early. Anybody who is very careful about mezuzah, he should have long day, long time, should live a long time. It says in the Apostle, the man yirbu yimeichem b'mei v'neichem, in order that your days will be lengthened the days of your children. Siv Chaf Daled. Ulefish hamazuzah he lahazkir yichud shmo yisbarach, and because mezuzah there is as a remembrance of the unity of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's name, lachein therefore k'sheyetze mi pesach beiso v'chein k'shenichnas yinashet osa, that when a person leaves his house and a person comes into his house, he should kiss the mezuzah. They shouldn't put his hand directly onto the parchment of the mezuzah. He should be careful. There should be glass over the mezuzah, over the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It doesn't get wiped away. Nothing happens to it. It protects it. When he goes out of his house, and when he places his hand on the mezuzah, Yomei should say, Hashem Shomri, God is my guardian. Hashem Tzili, God is my shadow. Al Yad Yamini, on my right hand side. Hashem Yishmor Tzeisi Uvoi Me'atov Ad Olam. Hashem should guard me on my going out and comings in for now and forever. And finally, Seif Chof Hey, Mezuzahs Hayochid Nivdeches B'Sheva Shonim. the mezuzahs of an individual, of a private home, of private places, should be checked every 7 years. V'shel rabim, but places, general places in the general public, nivdekes shtei pamim b'yovel, they should be checked twice every 50 years. Twice every 50 years. Obviously, they can be checked more than that. The problem is the halacha did not want to place on the people who look after these things such a big problem, a big tircha, a big thing that they should be checked more often than that, because they will think to themselves, if we have to check it more often, they won't check it at all, and therefore it will come to not be done at all, and therefore they said only twice every 50 years. That finishes the end of Siman Yud Aleph. Good evening.